course, the ATI Comprehensive for the NCLEX PN. I am still on the med surg unit. The med surg was number 3, I believe, in this book. It's a little bit of how that looks. I put note cards in between some of the sections that are super important for me to remember. For example, this is the section 1, fluids and electrolytes. And so these are some isotonic and hypotonic solutions. Another note card, section 1 was on leadership. So I believe I'm here at section 1. I finished mental health, and I really need to get started on maternity and children's. In the question, it'll say, this person is taking furosemide for hypertension. And you're like, oh, so I wrote down furosemide is for hypertension. Like, you just want to read the question and get information as you're studying as much information from the question as you can. So then once you answer the question, whether you get it incorrect or correct, read all the rationales, and then you can write down those rationales on a note card. Of course, I want to give you guys this super pretty me sitting down and about to start studying, but that is unrealistic. It is 12:30 in the morning. I am in the co-worker space, super quiet, which is good because I cannot handle distractions. 12:45, I just finished one of the ATI custom quizzes. It's 50 questions that my advisor put together for my individualized plan to help me pass my exit. So I just finished the pharmacological therapies one. And I was about to read over one of the note cards that I made for it. I just realized while I was taking it. So when you complete the quizzes, there's gonna be, once you press next, it shows you your answer, and it also shows you your incorrect answers. So you wanna read those rationales. So I have, for deep vein thrombosis, take IV heparin, then add warfarin, because they work together. They're both anticoagulants. So boom, tip number 1. Number 2, regular insulin and NPH insulin can be in one syringe. They are compatible. Number 3, this is a 3-part one. So I got all of this from one question. Neostigmine causes bradycardia. So the question asks is, which one was an adverse effect? I think for, no, that's not what it said. It said which medication treats bradycardia, something like that. But of course, I wrote down some of the examples that were wrong. And so neostigmine, I think that's how you pronounce it, that was one of the answers that was wrong because that causes bradycardia. Bethachalcol, I don't even know how to pronounce that, but it looks like Beth got somebody in a chokehold because that causes bradycardia too. So Beth and Brady, clearly Beth was going around putting people in chokeholds, and that's what got Brady and cardia. All right, atropine, that actually treats bradycardia. So that, like, oh, you got bradycardia, and it's like, atropine walks up and he's like, I'm gonna treat y'all. And you're like, okay. So yeah, that's atropine. And I think that's how you pronounce it. I don't know, it starts with an A, and I'm like, A is at the beginning of the alphabet. So if I needed some help with my blood pressure going down, I'd be like, hey, I need help. Atropine. Or however you pronounce it. Okay, so another example, I don't know what we're on, but let's just say we're on 1, 2, 3. We're on number 4. Number 4, tamoxifen. It treats breast cancer, and you want to monitor for hot flashes. because it is also an anti-estrogen. That is just from the question. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna write that down. Another one with insulin. Insulin can be stored at room temperature for 1 month. That's all it says. Taken from the question. Boop, somewhere there. So you can just kind of see how my note cards look. It says insulin can be stored for 1 hour, right there. For 1 month at room temperature. Furosemide can cause anemia. It is a diuretic, of course, that excretes potassium. I wrote that down. I have some question about gout. It says uric acid leads to gout. Uric acid leads to gout. You might need to know that. Aluminum hydroxide treats heartburn. And I was like, why? And I wanted to know what aluminum does. And I'm like, hydroxide, let's get into that. And I'm like, okay, this is not that class. And also feverfew causes bleeding. And I was like, oh, okay. So I wrote that down too. Like feverfew causes bleeding. But yeah. So those are a few tips that I got from the Pharmacological Therapies ATI Custom that my advisor did for me. I'm about to start on, mind you, these all have next gen questions. And so I'm about to start on the reduction of risk next gen question custom quiz. It's 50 questions. I'm gonna record like one of them just so you can kind of see what it looks like. Maybe just take a picture of it because I don't know if I can do that. But I'm gonna use that same thing of just looking at the questions, seeing what information I can get out of it, and putting it on a note card. So this is kind of how I'm kicking off my studying and getting some of my individualized plan done. I will let you guys know how things are going in a little bit. All right, bye. Okay, so it is 1:43. I just finished the reduction of risk ATI custom quiz, and so of course, I made a note card of a few of the things from the 50 questions that I found important. ATI, I don't know if these are updated ranges because ATI also got updated a couple months ago. And so heart rate is 60 to 100. Respirations, 10 to 20. Temperature is 96.8 and 104. So when it comes to temperature, you don't need no 7s, but you need a 4. Because it's like 96.8, you don't need no 7s. But it's to 100.4, so you need that 4. You can't just be 100.1. Then they'd be like, oh, it's in range. And you're like, okay. Hemoglobin was 12 to 16. Because like I was taught, I don't know, like 18. I think it was like up more for men. And hematocrit is 37 to 47, and like I was taught, I don't know, like 30 to 50 or something like that. Fetal heart rate is 110 to 160. And another one that I thought was just crazy was the bath waters. So when you're doing maternity, and they're doing like sits baths, the bath water temperature is 104. The tip of the temperature for your vitals to 105.1. So no more than 105.1. So yeah, and also paralysis. Sometimes when you have a stroke, you can get paralysis, and then that can cause foot drop. That's when your feet look like this. So, sorry. So if your patient foot is like this, and maybe you don't have those, like the booties to wrap their feet up while they're sleeping or during the day, then you can like just get like a footrest, and you want to like put their foot up because you don't want that foot drop. So yeah, we're at 2 a.m. I really need to reverse cycle. I was like, I don't know why I'm staying up, because I actually need to reverse cycle because I'm used to staying up late But since my exam is in a few days, I want to sleep well the night before my exam. And since my super duper major exam is next week, I need to start reverse cycling now so I can be all well rested for next week. For some reason, safety and infection, like I'll get some of those questions wrong. I don't know what the issue is with that because safety is usually pretty obvious. So let's do safety and infection. I'll finish this note card. This one also says ataxia. Sometimes when these questions have words in them that I don't know the meaning of, or it's just words that I know just because they're normal healthcare, medicine, dialogue, lingo, but it doesn't mean that I actually know exactly what it does. A good example of that, and I'm not going to be embarrassed about this, is hemorrhage, for example. People be like, oh my God, you're hemorrhaging. And it's like, okay, there's like blood everywhere or blood to escape. Like, it's just like, okay, blood. But hemorrhaging is blood escaping out of a vein or out of a vessel. It's like, you know, there's just so many, take the time to look up words. So I looked up ataxia because it was in the question. I didn't know what it meant. And apparently it's incoordination. And it's definitely incoordination when your eyes are closed. So if you see ataxia, ATAXIA, you're like, oh, that's incoordination. And then if your eyes closed, you're like, ataxia. Like, gotcha. Okay. This is keeping me up. Is it? All right. Talk to you guys in an hour. It is 2:35. I just got back from my apartment. I went and got some tea. A little quick break. I'll take some throat coat tea. Okay. I'm at about, let's see, question number, it timed me out. Okay, I probably need to log back into ATI. It's 2:30 though, I'm feeling okay. I feel like it's nice to take breaks in between studying because walking around just gets you a boost. And I had to use the bathroom, and in between walking here and going back to the apartment, I'm strolling Instagram, but I'm making sure I'm looking up nursing stuff. Like I'm looking up people's journeys. Sometimes I listen to different videos, just a motivational. I listened to a song. I was like, okay, let me wake up, get motivated. So I listened to Peaches and Eggplants by Young Nudie featuring 21 Savage. That's my inspiration for tonight. Because of the beat, of course. Boop, boop, of course. All right, so I am a little halfway through this safety and infection control next generation custom ATI quiz. It's 50 questions. I'm on question 21. While I have you, I guess we can talk through this question together. It says a nurse is planning, it does not say that. It says a nurse is preparing to help with transferring a client. So I take a second and go, okay, a nurse is preparing to transfer a client. In my head, I just take the moment to see what the first part of the question says. I guess what I'm saying is I separate questions. I take my time through it. I imagine myself like, okay, I'm the nurse. My client is about to get transferred. Okay, I just imagine myself like preparing for that, even as I'm going through the question. Transferring a client who can partially assist to a gurney. Okay, cool. So I'm a nurse, I'm transferring a client. They can partially assist, and I'm using a gurney. And a gurney is a device that you use to assist the patient who needs to be transferred. So the question is, which of the following actions should the nurse take? Place the bed in the lowest position. I don't think that's true because gurneys, you sometimes have to raise the bed. But this is when experience comes into play. So, unlock the wheels on the bed. No. So we're doing a safety. We're not gonna unlock the wheels unless we're actually moving the bed. And even then, you unlock the wheels, move the bed, and then you lock them right back. Always lock the wheels. Lower the head of the bed, okay? Or have 2 caregivers at the side of the bed. So you don't want to do any transferring by yourself. You're always supposed to have help. So then I go, after reading each of the options, I go back to the question. And the question was, which of the following actions should the nurse take? Because I want to make sure I'm answering the question right. I've already imagined myself in the position as the nurse, already imagined myself next to the bedside about to help a patient who can kind of sort of help me, kind of not with this gurney. What action should I take? I'm not gonna place the bed in the lowest position because that's weird. And I'm not gonna unlock the wheels of the bed. But that's just me. I don't know. Let's find out. I'm gonna go with have 2 caregivers at the bedside. We're gonna wrap this up. It was incorrect. The answer was lower the head of the bed. So this is when we go into the rationales. Like, it's okay if you get the question wrong, just read the rationales. So place the bed in its lowest position. The nurse should actually raise the bed in order to use the gurney. So we knew that answer wasn't right anyway. Unlock the wheels on the bed. For the client's safety, the nurse should lock the wheels on the bed. But we already knew that, so that was good. So then the answer actually was lower the head of the bed, which is true. You want to lower the head of the bed as much as the client can tolerate, just so you can actually have them supine or in a really good position for them to actually get inside of the gurney and you transfer them. Because if someone's sitting up like this, you can't really move their body as well. But of course, that's when experience comes into play. So, and then having 2 caregivers at the bedside, there should be 1 caregiver at the bedside, which is true. You really only need like 1 other person. Obviously, many people have done it alone just because of shortage. But of course, I was like, okay, 2 people, maybe that's something new. And that is a problem of mine when I'm test taking. I'm more of a test taker. I try to work on my test taking strategies, and knowing that most of the answers are correct and knowing that you have performed most of the answers kind of makes it hard sometimes to know which right answer they're looking for. Because you know you need a caregiver at the bedside. And if you're taking a quiz on safety, one of the main important things is not doing something by yourself. So apparently you don't need 2, you just need 1, which is true. But 2 caregivers on the gurney side, 1 between the client's shoulder and hip, and 1 between the hip and the legs. I guess you only really needed it unless it was something super major. For the most part, you just lower the head of the bed. Okay, so that was a quick little blurb about how I am taking these questions, how I'm kind of walking through them. A little recap of that is going through the question, imagining myself in the situation, mentally seeing myself at the bedside about to assist. A lot of that comes with experience. So if you can get some experience, that of course will help you in nursing, because all the terminology and a lot of the things that you're learning in the book, you'll be able to put that with the things that you're learning bedside or in clinicals. So yeah, imagine yourself, go back and go back and reread the question after you've read all of the answers. But depending on the test, I sometimes read the answers first and then go read the question. But maybe we should do a whole separate video on test taking strategies. So let's not get into all of that, but hopefully this is helpful. I am gonna finish up this quiz and I am gonna get 1 more done. And then I'll talk to you all then. We'll circle back from there. Okay. I just finished a Okay, remember last time we talked, I said I was gonna do these last 2 quizzes, and I did the safety and infection control one. And so I wrote down literally just a few things from there, because even the questions that I got wrong, they just required a lot of brushing up. So not a lot of stuff that I wrote down for the safety and infection control, but the process of removing and putting on PPE to me is just a lot, because I've learned it so many different ways in so many different specialties. So as of now, we remove the gloves first, then your eyewear, then your gown, then your mask. So gloves, eyes, gown, then mask. Then I did the physiological adaptation quiz. It was 50 questions. 45 of them were new gen. Like, I just had to get through it, because it's something I'm gonna have to go back when it's not 3:30 in the morning, exactly on the dot, which I wasn't even about to get through it, but I was like, 6 more. I also had wrote down in the planner that I needed to get maternity and children's done, maternity, newborn, and children's done, the review by today, and I have not done that. So I need to jumpstart this maternity and children's section back in this book. So I did those practice questions because it's good to get the questions. Like I said, I'm a test taker, and for me, I need to be in test mode. So getting into test mode requires practice questions, getting like in the midst of being able to sit here, read, and make sure that I'm answering the questions correctly. And so now that I feel like I've done that, I need to read for a little while. And so we know that I'm halfway through med surg, because I'm just taking my time with that. And we finished fundamentals, we finished mental health. We have maternal and newborn in unit 8 of this book. It's pages 188 to 217. So I'm like, okay, we're gonna finish maternal and newborn, and maybe I can just take some notes really quick on nursing care for children, and I can just do that while I'm at work and just go over the flashcards, which is why it's important to do flashcards. So can I get 2 sections done in an hour? Not efficiently, but we already know this information. These are things that we already was taught. We got an A in maternity and newborn. We did take this content mastery over twice, but then we got a level 2. So we're just gonna run through this. I'll see you later. Here's a good look at some of my note cards. They're all different types of colors, and of course I'm adding the ones from today. Just a little shuffle and see what we come up with. And NSAIDs, ibuprofen, nausea, dyspnea, take with food or milk. On the back it says fetal heart rate is assessed for 1 minute. Amniotic fluid is clear with a mild odor, or cloudy with a yellow odor, then you probably need to tell somebody. If it's green, there's something wrong with the placenta and you need to tell somebody. One more little shuffle, see what's in here. Blah, 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 blah. Shuffle, shuffle, shuffle. Get a pretty color. Shuffle, shuffle, shuffle. Okay. Some stuff here, stuff here. Doesn't matter how your note cards look. Vitamin C helps iron. Who would have known? When it comes to burns, this is good. Burns. So your head is 9%. Your arms are 18. Your thorax is 36, and so is your legs, but only 1% for your peri. PaCO2, 35 to 45. PaO2, 80 to 100. Acid is 7.35. Alkalosis is 7.45. And it says lithium will fuck up your diuretics. Lithium will fuck up your diuretics. Hope that's true. Okay, so that is the most of this study session. Tomorrow things get serious. We do the questions in the back of this comprehensive review book. Cystic fibrosis. I almost forgot this one. Sickle cell, pain. Sickle cell is when they have low red blood cells because the sickle is a shape. They end up dying early. So those patients are in a lot of pain. Who would have known? Okay, let me grab these note cards because apparently they were going to get lost. PVD and PAD. I really need to go over this. So I have to recreate a schedule for the next 72 hours of studying.